Yes, you did read that title correctly. I watched Shelby Oaks with Chris Stuckmann, the director of Shelby Oaks. We'll get to that in a minute, but this video will also be my official review for Shelby Oaks a month early. So it was pushed to October 24th, which I think is going to be a fantastic weekend for this movie. It's right around Halloween time. I think that timing is perfect. And there will be no spoilers at all in this video because the movie's not even out yet. And there's no way I'm going to risk spoiling any part of this movie for a single one of you. Even if you want that, no. I've been reporting on Shelby Oaks periodically since pretty much the official announcement, I think was back in 2021, if I'm not mistaken. In multiple of my horror news, I would always give you guys updates on Shelby Oaks. And I've always been excited about it because one, it's by a fellow YouTuber, Chris Stuckmann, not just fellow YouTuber, fellow movie reviewer. And two, it's a horror movie funded by Kickstarter. I believe it raised in total over $1.3 million by the end of the campaign, which is the most funded horror movie ever on Kickstarter. So I've been anticipating Shelby Oaks for literal years, and I got to watch it sitting right next to Chris Stuckmann. Like, if 2021 me knew when I was first reporting on this movie that this would be my life, I would think you were lying. So Neon actually reached out to me and asked me if I'd like to attend a special screening of Shelby Oaks in LA and kind of hang out with and shadow Chris throughout the event. That was the fastest yes I've ever had in my career. So firstly, huge thank you to Neon for making this happen at all. I flew into LA the morning of the event, got settled into my hotel, and then I can't believe I'm about to ride over to Chris Stuckmann's hotel. What is my life right now? I'm so excited. I met Chris at his hotel. We hopped in the car. We rode over to the event together in the car. And I knew this was going to be my chance to really talk to Chris one-on-one, ask him questions about the movie and things like that. Now the lighting is like very bright. Okay, here we are with Chris Stuckmann, director of Shelby Oaks.
Two very pale people lit by very harsh white light.
Yes, it's about to change. We're okay.
There we go. Now we're still pale, but the light's better.
Yeah. So naturally, I filmed it. I got to vlog this little I don't even want to call it an interview. It's not. This was me just asking some questions and hanging out and getting to know Chris Stuckmann. So enjoy our little car time prior to the event. Okay, so we are on our way to a special screening by Neon for Shelby Oaks. This must be so surreal for you to finally be putting it out into the world because you had so many setbacks, I feel like, in the process of making Shelby Oaks.
We did. When I started working on this movie, like, COVID wasn't a thing. I started writing the script and then COVID happened and I was positive, okay, well, I think we're done now. The world just shut down. Like a global pandemic just happened and I don't even know what that means. I didn't have kids at the time. Like, you know, it was such a different, I was a different human being.
Oh, I can imagine.
Multiple strikes, you know, there was a writer strike, an actor strike, so many issues with trying to find funding initially because, you know, it's an indie movie. It's a true grassroots movie, which is why, you know, tonight's screening is for backers, people who helped make this happen. Yeah. I'm so grateful for them that they were able to allow us to kind of bypass the Hollywood system and just kind of make the thing. We made it without a safety net. We didn't know if we'd have distribution. I think I was just kind of thinking maybe I'll just put it on my YouTube channel.
Yeah, the worst case of the day.
I'll just
maybe
throw it up on YouTube.
There. Yeah.
And you know, that's fine. I would have been happy with that. Really, I really would have. But the best thing happened. The best company ever, like Neon, saw some value in it. So it's great. Yeah, that's so awesome. And then Mike Flanagan came on as a producer. What did he do for the movie, or what was his role? So he, first off, the whole thing about like don't meet your heroes. You can meet Mike Flanagan. He always seems like a great guy. He is. Like, he is such a nice genuinely good person. He's a good dad, a good husband. He's just a good person who also happens to be very talented. Him and I met because I reviewed Oculus when it came out. And this was like his first big movie. And, you know, he messaged me on Twitter and he was like, thanks for that review, man. That really means a lot. And you know, he wasn't like Mike Flanagan then. He was like the guy who made Oculus. And I was like, oh yeah, let's talk. You want to talk? And he said, sure. So we started talking for kind of just years, just emailing back and forth. And it would be like really nerdy film stuff, like, oh, did you see like the special edition Blu-ray of this or whatever, and just stuff like that. And then one day he asked me, he was like, you're always mentioning that you're writing and trying to get a movie made. Do you have anything? And I was like, I haven't. Yeah, I mean, if you want to read some stuff. So he read some of my early scripts that features and spec scripts that I was working on, and he gave me some really good notes. Wow. And then the relationship kind of changed from like nerdy film discussion into more of a mentorship, where he would give me advice and kind of point me in the right direction. Not handouts. He wasn't like, he wasn't giving me like anything. I wasn't asking for anything. He was just like, maybe don't talk to that producer. They have a bad reputation. Stuff like that.
Okay.
When I got the funding for Shelby through Kickstarter, he congratulated me, and I reached out, and he was like, do you want to read can I read the script? And he read the script, and he was like, this is great, go with God, make your movie.
Wow.
And so I did, and then I when we were editing the movie, I showed him like a very rough assembly of the movie that I actually cut myself. It was like 2.5 hours long. It was every single thing.
I was going to ask if you edited any of it yourself.
Just a little tiny bit.
We
have two amazing editors on this film, Patrick Lawrence and Brett Bachman, who are geniuses. Both of them are incredible editors. But that early cut, before we had an editor on board, I showed him, and he was like, I would like to actually be involved in this for real. And that blew my mind. I was like, whatever you want, man, whatever you want. So basically, like from there, it became like he would watch cuts of the movie. He would give me suggestions on the edit. He hooked me up with James Burkholder and the Newton Brothers, who did the score, because he knows the Newton Brothers so well from his films.
The score was amazing, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Loved it.
They're so good.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing, like just really like, we were able to edit and look at it at the Intrepid offices, for instance, where he worked. And so like those types of things were really amazing.
Yeah, wow. So what was your favorite part about filming Shelby Oaks? Or any fun facts that you can share about filming it?
Honestly, I think some of the funnest stuff was before we had the money, we shot all of the YouTube content for the Paranormal Paranoids.
Oh, okay.
So their whole channel, with an old camcorder, with mini DV tape. We even used a microphone from like 2007, so it would be
perfect.
Accurate.
Yeah.
I edited them on iMovie on my old desktop from 2007.
Wow. So it's all authentic.
It's completely,
love that.
Filming that with those actors are some of my fondest memories that I will, because it wasn't like we would do a video and then like 2 months later do another video. And like 2 months later do another video.
Yeah.
And it was like, when can you all be in Ohio? When can we just make this happen? And and they put a lot of trust in me, because I'm like a weird, gangly, like tall guy who's like, come into the woods with me while I film you on a weird tape camera, and I have no distribution deal. I don't know. They got paid.
Okay.
But like, it's just, they put a lot of faith in me, as well. Say, if I saw me coming towards me, I'd be like, what are you doing? And also, don't go into the woods with me.
Yeah.
But no, they did, and it worked out. So those are some memories I will cherish.
I loved the found footage in the beginning of the movie. Found footage is my favorite style of horror. And I loved how it went from that right into the movie. And it's almost like, different forms of filmmaking.
Yes.
Do you like found footage movies typically?
Yes,
okay.
I do.
Because I see the passion there in the beginning of the movie.
I'm a big fan, and I love mock docs.
Yes.
Lake Mungo and Noroi are my two biggest inspirations on that portion of the movie. Lake Mungo is a great Australian movie. If anyone hasn't seen it, you really should. It was such an incredible film. And Noroi is from Japan. It's also a mock doc. One of the scariest movies I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, very unsettling images in that movie.
Those two films in particular were ones that really stood out to me. But of course, like, I remember in middle school, like, showing up to class, and there was a kid who was like, yo, I counted all the F words in the Blair Witch Project. They said the F word like 180 times. And I was like, cool.
Yeah.
and then the Blair Witch became this thing where everybody in school was just obsessed with it. And since we were all, like 6th or 7th grade and pre-internet fame, like internet wasn't big at the time, we all kind of thought it was maybe real.
Yeah.
And that was an amazing time. So found footage has always been, and of course if you go back to like Cannibal Holocaust, which is one of the earliest examples of a movie that kind of like has traditional narrative filmmaking and then inserts found footage into it too. Obviously that's an inspiration too.
Any other movies that you can credit as inspo besides the found footage?
I think if I were to just like, I wouldn't say like a specific movie, but I would say like the the way M. Night Shyamalan approaches his stories, which are, he likes to tell really compelling genre stories, but he always has a very sort of personal edge that feels a little adjacent to Hollywood, where it feels like, okay, this wasn't like quite normal, like the normal thing I would expect to see. Yeah. And it feels kind of special. It feels like there's some artistry there to all of his films. And his approach to filmmaking, same with Mike's, has really inspired me over the years.
Yeah, I could see that. I feel like the atmosphere is one of the best things about Shelby Oaks, too.
Thank you.
So I definitely see that.
That was a big thing we wanted to try to we wanted the movie to feel kind of eerie and creepy. Yeah. Mothman Prophecies is one for me that felt that way as a kid when I first saw that. It really scared me, and it wasn't like there was anything overtly like terrifying on screen. There was just like a vibe to it.
Yes, exactly.
And that's something I talked about a lot with my DP, Andrew Baird, was like this Mothman Prophecies vibe of just unsettling.
Yes.
You know? That's my favorite kind of horror. Like Mungo's like that, Norroy's like that, Blair Witch is like that too. Yes. You know, you don't see shit in Blair Witch, but it's very unsettling and creepy.
Even I would say the library scene in Shelby Oaks, almost, correct me if I'm wrong, but my favorite movie is The Ring. And
hell yeah.
That scene reminded me of the library scene in The Ring, even down to the score.
Yeah, for sure.
It gave me very much that vibe of The Ring.
I love The Ring too. Obviously, like, she sits down and she watches a tape in this movie, and you know, The Ring has tapes. So it's the original Japanese Ring, of course. You know, it's a very yes, 100%. I love those movies too. I guess I wasn't consciously thinking like we have to be like The Ring.
Sure.
But I mean, it's impossible to not be inspired by, like, we are all standing on the shoulders of like our heroes constantly.
Absolutely.
Like everyone, like Shyamalan talks about Hitchcock all the time because you know, Shyamalan would not be Shyamalan if Hitchcock hadn't done Psycho and the Birds and all these movies.
Exactly.
That's why Spielberg is always talking about his heroes too. I mean, like, we all have our heroes that were like that made us want to do this, and then there's this part of us that's trying to figure out, okay, I know that's I love that. Yes. I love that. And then you have to try to find your way to be personal and put yourself into it.
So we will see you at the event, at the screening.
Yeah.
Very exciting. I absolutely loved talking to Chris. I think we have so much in common. I mean, obviously we both love horror movies. We both started on YouTube around the same time, or like early days on YouTube, and have been doing this for a very long time. And we're both parents, so naturally our conversation did lead to our kids occasionally. And it was just really fun getting to know him. And he loves M. Night Shyamalan and found footage. That's all I really need in a person, you know, to really have a conversation with them. So this special screening was specifically for the backers, and there were multiple events throughout the United States in order to allow the backers to attend and see the movie before anyone else, because they made Shelby Oaks. I mean, they made it happen, right? And it was really cool to be by Chris's side along the way as we got to the theater, because we got to see the poster for it on the wall. We got to see the big screen advertising Shelby Oaks.
I don't know what it is, but rated R really makes me excited. It's like rated R.
And we went into the theater, and he wanted to do a little sound test and, you know, things like that. And that was really fun to see, like, from behind the scenes. And everyone was all lined up in the front of the theater, and then the meet and greet began, and the excitement was just so palpable in the room. And it was so cool to see so many people excited for the opportunity to just talk with Chris. And many have been viewers for many, many years and have been supporting Chris for so long. And so I think it was a really amazing opportunity to allow them to see the movie before anyone else. They even created little ticket stubs for the movie, which I got one because naturally, and some pins and bumper stickers for the backers to take, which I thought was so fun and such a nice, thoughtful touch. I feel like Neon does so well with their marketing always, down to the like littlest details.
And without further ado, are you ready to get Stuckmann?
And then it was time to watch the movie, and sure enough, I got to sit right next to Chris Stuckmann while we watched his movie. I don't think I'll ever have another opportunity to watch a big movie like this sitting next to the director. Like, what an honor. Now, I have to admit, this was actually my second time viewing the movie because Neon so graciously gave me an early screener, so I was able to watch it before I actually met Chris, so I'd have questions and things to talk about. So I have seen Shelby Oaks 2 times now. After the movie, there was a little Q&A with Trevor Shand from the Bloody Disgusting podcast, The Boo Crew, and the audience was just so excited, and it was just so electric in there. It's one of those times in your life where you just don't want the night to end. So thank you again to Neon for the opportunity to be able to attend this special event and be a part of it. It was such an honor. So let's get into my official movie review of Shelby Oaks. Now this was already, prior to all of this, okay, it was already one of my most anticipated movies of the entire year. And then some of the marketing came out and some teaser trailers and I was like, yeah, I think that's going to be my movie of the year. I think the marketing has been incredible for Shelby Oaks. Like I mentioned with Neon, they're just great at what they do with the marketing. Maybe one too many trailers. You guys know I always nitpick about that because, you know, you don't want to show too much, okay? But the posters are absolutely beautiful and I really want to find a way to get my hands on one or just print one out because I think they're gorgeous. And the movie did not disappoint. It had everything that I love in horror movies. I just think Chris really knows what he's doing and he understands horror and he gets horror. He makes my kind of horror, that's for sure. So I hope he continues to make some stuff. But he also knows how to affect the viewer. As someone who reviews movies for a living, I can understand the pressure to make a good one. And I think he really executed that. I mean, it really affected me. I think the atmosphere and the story he built in this was just so good for a horror film. So let's talk about found footage. Because Chris, you got me with that one. You are good at found footage and you should make a full-length found footage movie. Okay, thank you. That's my personal request to you. I mean, you guys know how I feel about found footage. It's my favorite and there are definite elements in this movie, which we'll get to in a second. But I think what Chris does really well with the found footage elements is he makes it a little bit more digestible, I think, for greater audiences. Not everyone loves found footage and there's only a small portion, but there's only so much in the movie. But the kind of found footage that he does is really effective, you know? Even if you don't love found footage typically, I feel like he handles it so well. There's no cliche, like shaky camera footage. I feel like all the found footage, I mean, most of it's mockumentary, so that makes sense. But even the found footage elements that are actual like handheld cameras are pretty stable. And that was very impressive to me. While I don't want to spoil the movie by any means, I will say the opener is my favorite part of this movie. I mean, obviously that's the found footage part, so that's going to be my favorite, but he does this mockumentary build in the beginning of the movie and then a scene happens and all of a sudden it shifts. The ratio shifts, okay? And we're in traditional filmmaking. We're in a traditional movie. And that shift was so good and so subtle, I didn't even notice the ratio change. I feel like it was so seamless right into the movie. It was definitely a jaw-dropping moment for me and a genius idea and had such a good impact. And I overheard a lot of the backers talking about that, and in interviews people have been bringing that up with him as well, so I know that's going to be one of the most memorable things about this movie, the way he blends styles of filmmaking. So as you heard in my little car talk with him, he cited movies like Lake Mungo and Noroi as inspiration for the mockumentary portion of the movie. And I feel like his love for those kind of eerie, atmospheric movies really translated into this movie, which let's talk about the atmosphere. I think that was one of the first things I mentioned to him about his movie was the atmosphere, because that was the biggest thing that stood out to me first. It was unsettling and eerie in all the best ways. Even when there isn't anything scary like happening visually on the camera, I feel like there's still this uneasy feeling throughout the entire movie and it never lets up. There were a couple scenes actually that reminded me of some of my favorite movies, and not in a really derivative way by any means. I don't think he was consciously thinking about these movies. In fact, I know he wasn't because he's told me he wasn't, but there were many scenes that kind of remind me of favorite movies. There was a library research scene that was very reminiscent of The Ring to me. It had that similar eerie atmosphere and tension building in that moment. Even down to the score, I feel like was kind of reminiscent of The Ring for me. And then there was a scene later on in the movie, I'm not going to tell you which one, but if you watch it you might know, that reminded me of Silent Hill, specifically Silent Hill 2 the game, but just Silent Hill in general. But they were beautiful is what I'm trying to say, and those two movies are some of my favorites because they have that atmosphere and that dread and tension throughout, and the settings are stunning. That was a bonus for me, that it kind of reminded me of some of those movies because it is my taste in horror. This movie was made for me. Thank you, Chris. There's also this weight and disturbing nature to this movie and this subplot that's there. A couple details, heavy implication that is highly disturbing to me, and a kind of story that really gets to me, and I respect it, and I thank you, Chris, for being a little bit reserved with some of the disturbing elements in your movie. I feel like you weren't exploiting anything. That was the way to do it, so I appreciate that. Still caught me off guard, but in a way that wasn't like overwhelming to the rest of the movie. There are some jump scares in this movie, and I know he is not a fan of overusing jump scares, and I am also, as you know, not a fan of overusing jump scares, and I feel like Chris was really selective in when he used them, and also had the follow through. They were genuine moments where you would jump. And also, this has one of my favorite things that I like to call silent jump scares. Okay, you got to be looking in the background, you got to pay attention to things and some details in there. And it's because of these things I think it is most effective viewed on the big screen. Like, obviously go see this in a theater anyway. It's very clear I loved this movie. I think it is way more effective. As someone who has watched it both at home on my own TV and in the theater, I can vouch the theater is the way to go. I mean, naturally, it's going to be more effective with the music, and it's just more immersive that way. You have fewer distractions, and you get to see things a lot better. And obviously, the jump scares are more effective this way. So definitely see it in a theater if you're able to. I also really love where the story goes. I was not expecting it. I feel like the end is very shocking. And of course, the performances. I can't talk about this movie without the performances. Camille Sullivan as Mia was fantastic, and she really stole the show for me. I mean, we are pretty much focused on her mostly, trying to find her sister Riley, and she was just so believable in all of the tense scenes, which I feel like really shows an actor's strengths, is when they can portray emotions like that, and that was basically the whole movie, so that was great. Also, a fun fact I want to point out is after Neon acquired this movie, they were able to shoot for 3 more days and add some more scenes or make some scenes a little bit better with that budget. So I think that really added to the movie. They were able to do a bit more gore and violence, and that made the movie, I think, for me. I mean, the scenes definitely had a greater impact and were more shocking. So that's what they were going for. They definitely executed that. If you generally know my taste and like my taste in horror movie, like if we share it, you know, if you've been around for a while, I promise you will love Shelby Oaks. Like it feels like a movie that was made for me this year. Like it is one of my top movies for sure. And if you generally like my movie recs, then please go watch Shelby Oaks. I knew I would probably like it given the marketing of the movie and the story, and I knew there was found footage elements in it. So yeah, my anticipation was already built, but I did not expect for so many things in this movie to like be my kind of thing. I can't really go too into detail about it, but if you want me to do a full spoiler review later when the movie actually comes out, please let me know, because there are definite things that I could say and I could talk about, but I gotta leave it for you to experience firsthand first before I delve into all of the movie and spoilers and things like that. But let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. Overall, incredible experience, incredible movie. Go watch it. Thank you again to Neon, and let me know your thoughts down below. I hope you enjoyed, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.